It's the sweetheart deal heard around the world. Hunter Biden avoiding prison after pleading guilty and cutting a deal for his tax and gun crimes. Dad's campaign would like the issue to go away, but GOP candidates have other plans.
You look at this Hunter Biden case today.
Yeah.
That's a gun law that was on the books, that if you are a drug user or a drug abuser, you're not allowed to apply for a gun permit. Now, that law seems to make perfect sense, except today we're seeing it's not being enforced.
It's dangerous. Let me just say, we all know this, that the big guy has some explaining to do.
Tim Scott. I gotta know.
The media thinks that if you attack Hunter, though, you're a big old jerk, and that the first son should have gotten off easy.
If this wasn't Hunter Biden, it is likely he wouldn't have been prosecuted at all.
It's not going to stop y'all from going after Biden. Everybody knows that. You don't have to tell us. We know you're going to keep looking because you're lookers.
This is painful for the president personally and politically. He is a devoted father who has stood by his son throughout his struggles with addiction, throughout this investigation, adamant that Hunter did absolutely nothing wrong. But it is clear Republicans are not going to drop this.
What do these jerks in the House want Joe Biden to do? Throw him out? Refuse to speak to him? Say he doesn't love him publicly? Do they not understand this disease and how it works?
A disease. And do you buy this? Hunter's lawyer says he isn't too sure if the infamous laptop from hell was part of the investigation.
Do you have any idea if Hunter Biden's laptop had anything to do with this investigation? Was it used?
I don't. I can't recall being asked about it, to be honest with you. But there's nothing about the situation that's been filed that has a thing to do with the laptop.
Why not?
I don't know. You'd have to ask the prosecutors.
See, Judge, this raises an important point that the plea deal, intentionally or not, steers all the focus onto what was settled.
Yep.
And nobody's really talking about what was left on the table, what was given up in this process?
Everything was given up. You see, if they can say, and by the way, he doesn't strike me as a real genius there, but that's another issue. Number one, if you are negotiating a plea deal, you know all about all of the evidence the prosecutor has because he's going to use it as leverage. The U.S. attorney is going to say, we got him on this, this, and this, so you better plead to this and this. They're not, he said it never came up. It never came up as corroboration of everything that we've been talking about. It's circumstantial evidence. It proves that the investigation was not a real investigation. It was something that they were holding until now, where you got 2 misdemeanors and you know everybody says, oh, it's no big deal. And it's painful for the president. Yeah, because he's not getting his 10% anymore. Of course it's painful for the president. And this whole thing is, and Clapper now saying about the laptop, that I haven't seen anything to disprove it wasn't Russian information.
Wow.
They're doubling down on this. Look, the feds are leaving and saying that the case is still open so Congress cannot subpoena the records. That's why they're doing it. But there's another reason, I think, also. If we get another administration in, they're going to be able to identify the money laundering, the FARA, the lobbying, the foreign agent lobbying, all of that other stuff, the financial transactions, and they're going to say this administration had it but didn't do anything with it.
Well, speaking of the future administration, Tulsi, this is a theory posited by a friend of mine that now Joe can step aside because he no longer needs to pardon Hunter Biden, so now he can go home. Is that just a crazy theory?
I don't think anything is crazy at this point. You know, I think as far as this election goes, I think it's less about Joe Biden than it is about Kamala Harris coming in as president. But this whole thing, unfortunately, just further undermines the rule of law. People's faith that we have law and order in this country and that the justice system actually means anything. And so there are too many examples now to cite, but this is yet the latest in recognizing that we have an administration and people in power who are willing to direct that power against their political opponent, and also, like every other dictatorship in the country, direct that power to protect those that they want to protect. In this case, you know, it's Hunter Biden. And obviously, this sends the wrong message to the American people, but more dangerously, it undermines that foundation of our democracy, which is that fair justice system, that rule of law.
You know, though, I noticed something really positive about the media, Jesse. Here's a case of a white guy getting special treatment, and they didn't scream systemic racism.
That's a good point.
So they're no longer blaming that on racism.
We have tonight Ja Rule's attorney. Ja Rule paid no taxes on the same amount of money that Hunter did, and he got sentenced to 2 years in prison.
Right. See?
What do you think the difference is between Ja Rule and Hunter Biden?
Are you going to show us?
We'll see tonight. I don't like it when they say this disease. He smokes crack. If everybody that did drugs didn't pay their taxes, we'd have no revenue.
That is so true.
On drugs. That's not an excuse.
This entire table.
The feds are never going to crack open the laptop as long as Joe Biden's president. Joe Biden, his administration is not going to investigate corruption in the Biden family. It's just not going to happen. Plus, the FBI and the CIA has this as blackmail. They can just dangle it in front of Joe, and he has to do whatever they say, or else, boop, there it goes open. The only way it comes open if a Republican gets into the White House. And so they're going to do everything they can to prevent a Republican from getting into the White House, because the laptop is basically tells everybody how guilty the entire system is. The House Republicans are now looking at these heavily redacted additional FBI informant pieces of paper that Chris Wray is still trying to hide, and we're still looking at more bank records. If you had an impeachment inquiry open up, that can speed up the subpoena process, the witness process, but the House Republicans don't feel like it's ripe enough to do it right now. They want to let Comer do a little bit more work. But the bottom line is that insiders protect insiders. You said it the other day. Trump's an outsider. He goes to prison. His people go to prison. But if you're Washington insider, you get the Hunter Biden treatment.
Exactly.
And we just have to accept that reality right now.
It has nothing to do with wealth. It has to do with status and power.
Yeah. Right.
Dana, let's talk about, we didn't bring up Hunter's stripper baby, which I swear I wasn't going to say stripper baby anymore.
The baby is not a stripper.
The baby is not a stripper, and I apologize. It's the
stripper's baby.
of a former stripper.
Yep.
An entertainment worker. Here's the deal.
Yep.
Somehow he worked it out so that the baby can't have his last name because he's worried that the baby might soil the name Biden.
This is the thing. I honestly, it upsets me the most on behalf of the girl. Because she's an innocent child who happened to be fathered by Hunter Biden, and that Hunter Biden has a family now, and he gets to go to the White House and fly on Air Force One, and he gets to be with all the, his children are with all the cousins, and they get all the benefits of being the Biden family. But forget like the perks. What about the love and the father and for the Bidens, the president and the first lady? It's hard for me to imagine that you don't want to hold this girl. And yesterday, when you got this plea deal, and then they settled that thing, and now he only has to pay $5,000 a month in child support. That's what this woman agreed to. Maybe there was something else behind the scenes. We don't have those details. I wish the mother well. I wish the baby well. And I wish that the internet did not exist when she gets old enough to read.
Exactly.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.